I thought it was appropriate for me to get into some NBA items, specifically Draymond Green. Draymond Green, as y'all well know, was suspended for 5 games by the league after an altercation took place on a basketball court in a game between the Golden State Warriors and the Minnesota Timberwolves. Klay Thompson, Jalen McDaniels got into it. When they got into it and shirts were ripped and what have you, and Rudy Gobert grabbed Klay Thompson, Draymond Green lunges in there and puts Rudy Gobert in a chokehold. Now, for those of you who didn't see it, you can watch it right now as I'm talking. Clearly, Rudy Gobert is, I don't know whether he's trying to win an Emmy or Oscar or whatever. He was clearly putting on a big-time performance. There's no doubt about that. But it does not absolve Draymond Green from the chokehold he did put Rudy Gobert in. Now, when you look at the play, you see Draymond Green dragging Rudy Gobert for like a full 7 seconds. And Karl Anthony Towns did absolutely nothing to get Draymond Green off Rudy Gobert, which is a different subject for another day. With all of that being said, there's a lot of criticism that Draymond Green has received from the league office, who took his past transgressions into consideration, along with Steve Kerr and various others. And for me personally, I don't like the idea of this dude being perceived as the angry black dude, personally. You know, there's a whole bunch of dudes, black and white. That's their teammate. You put your hands on them, they putting their hands on you. You know, you getting into the foxhole, you getting into the proverbial, a literal street fight or whatever. They right there. That's just the way it's going to be. That's how they roll. And when you see stuff like that, you got to understand it for what it's worth and appreciate that. I know that I would want Draymond Green as my teammate any day of the week. But that doesn't mean that he wasn't wrong. He can't be completely absolved. And one would think that in light of the penalties that was handed down, and in light of the fact that he's missed 5 games, and in light of the fact that the Golden State Warriors were 2-3 without him, that there will be a level of contrition. But that's not what happened. Here's what happened instead. This is Draymond Green speaking about the regrets that he may have because of his suspension or the lack thereof.
To continue mentioning like, oh, well, what he did in the past, I've paid for those. Like I got suspended in Game 5 of the finals. So you can't keep suspending me for those actions. But in saying that, I'm also not one to admit when I'm at fault. I don't live my life with regrets. Like I said before, I'll come to a teammate's defense anytime that I'm in a position to come to a teammate's defense. That's what a team is. You stick together through the good and the bad. And I take that to heart. I take pride in being a good teammate. That's when I step in here every single day, that's number 1 on my list, to be a good teammate.
Now, you see, here's the problem. First of all, I got to get on my brother because he is my brother and I got a lot of love for him. First of all, Draymond Green, what do you mean they can't suspend you? What do you mean they can't suspend you because of past transgressions? That's exactly what they did. Clearly they can because they did it. Clearly they can because they said they did it and they told you why. They sat up there and they looked. 2016 NBA Finals, Game 5, Draymond Green suspended for altercation with LeBron James in Game 4. Although I still contend that was nothing more than a stimulus package given to LeBron James by the league office because they knew he was about to get his ass bounced up out of there in 5 games in the NBA Finals, and they did not want that. The reality is that LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers overcame a 3-1 deficit and won the championship. And if Draymond Green hadn't been suspended for Game 5, the likelihood is, since Game 5 was back at the Oracle in Oakland, California at that time, that it would have been too much for Cleveland to overcome, who had just lost Game 4 in Cleveland and was down 3-1, and Golden State would have closed them out in 5. But that game 5, Andrew Bogut got hurt. Andre Iguodala got hurt. Neither was ever the same. Steph Curry wasn't operating at 100% as well, but he was playing in the finals. You have what you have. But Draymond will tell you in a heartbeat. He believes they would have won the championship had he not gotten suspended for game 5. He said that right on this show. Yes, he did. And I believe him because I had picked Golden State to win that series in 5 games. But that wasn't the only suspension. 2018-2019 suspension for altercation with teammate Kevin Durant. By the way, I don't think that's anybody's business. That was an in-house argument and stuff like that. I don't think that warranted anything from Draymond Green towards Draymond Green personally. That's between him and Kevin Durant. And if the team wants to handle it, that's fine. I don't think that's something that should be handed or mark against him, rather, by the league office. I don't think that's right. Obviously, in 2022-2023, last season, suspended for season-long technical foul limit. We know that. In addition to his 3 suspensions, he's tallied 163 total technical fouls. He's had to pay $1.260 million in fines in his NBA career. Of course they're going to hold it against you, Draymond. That's what they're saying. And I don't want to hear all of this other stuff that people try to use to get at him. He's got a problem. He's got to get under control, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, that might be true. But what if Draymond Green was playing without an edge? Did you ask yourself that question? What if Draymond Green was playing without an edge? Where would that leave you? I think those are the kind of questions that we've got to ask ourselves when it comes to him. Now, again, I don't support what he did with Rudy Gobert. The amount of time he had Rudy Gobert in that chokehold, I'm not down with that. That was excessive and unnecessary. And I totally agree with Coach Steve Kerr when he said that. But for others that are going to try to use that to excoriate Draymond Green and to call him a problem, what I would say to you is when you talk about having a teammate, what kind of teammate do you want? You want choir boys when you compete on a professional level? Is that what you want? You want choir boys? That ain't going to work. You want somebody like him. You want to bring up Jordan Poole? Yeah. My man RC, Ryan Clark from the Pivot Podcast, brought it up on First Take this morning. My show on ESPN, my day job, ESPN, every weekday morning, 10 a.m. to 12 noon, Eastern Standard Time. RC brought it up. I want to see if he's going to go at another person, an opponent, the same way, with the same level of fervor he went at his own teammate. Because if you went at your own teammate the way he went at Jordan Poole when he knocked him out, he had damn sure better go at Rudy Gobert or any other opponent just as hard. Fair enough. But the Golden State Warriors ain't the same without Draymond. And Draymond being off the court does more harm than good. As we saw Mike Tomlin doing social media, excoriating one of his players one time when he got hit with a penalty, he said, "Look at me. It's bigger than you. It ain't just about you. It's bigger than you." And Draymond is a 4-time champion, so he knows that better than most. So I would say to him, when you say you have no regrets, that's problematic. Because by saying you have no regrets, what you're doing is also echoing that sentiment to the league office, which means that the next time you find yourself in some kind of incident or situation, the league is going to remember your words. They're going to remember you said you had no regrets. They're going to remember you showed little to no contrition, and they're going to treat you accordingly. We want to act like the world of sports is separate and apart from everything else. It's not. When you commit a crime, they take into account whether or not you're a repeat offender. If they do that on the books when it comes to the laws of this land, what makes you think they're not going to do that subjectively when it comes to the heavy hand and the heavy arm of a league who's trying to protect its iconic brand by making sure they're still appealing to advertisers and sponsors, and you don't have those type of transgressions taking place on the court? That's how they look at things, whether you like it or not. So I'm not saying that Draymond Green is wrong per se. I'm saying, my brother, you didn't have to tell anybody. Just take the fine, come back, and say, in the moment, this is the way that I reacted. I wish I hadn't gotten suspended. because I wanted to be there for my teammates. But what you don't want to say is, I have no regrets. Because then the NBA says, oh, so he hasn't learned. And if you do it again, they're going to bring a heavier hand down upon you. As much as Joe Dumars, the vice president of basketball operations for the NBA league office, as much as he loves Draymond Green, that's exactly what the conclusion he's going to draw. He's going to do it, and Adam Silver's going to see to it. Think Ja Morant, but in a far more innocuous way. Draymond Green wasn't waving any guns. He wasn't in a strip club making it rain. He didn't have stupid friends videotaping what the hell he was doing. None of that's true. But the biggest thing that Ja Morant had held against him that led to him getting a 25-game suspension was the fact that Adam Silver felt betrayed because he spoke to Ja Morant, and Ja Morant promised that wasn't him and it would never happen again, and then went back and did the same damn thing he promised would never happen. Now, Draymond Green ain't doing that per se, and we get all of that. But the league is going to frown upon repeat offenders. It's just that simple, whether you like it or not. He's got to get with the program because Draymond Green is going to be a voice in this industry when his playing career is over. These are important components to take into consideration.